the show. The show is all about you. Not you, but you and your stories. Because everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer. Everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer. Brought to you by JeffSeltzer.com.
Hello and welcome to Everybody Has a Story with Jeff Seltzer. I am your host, Jeff Seltzer, and once again, welcome to my own personal midlife crisis. We've been here over a year at this point. We're journeying with other people's journeys. We're learning what we can. We're sharing people's stories. And much like the last few weeks, more news stories to share. Before getting into the usual plugs, as well as introducing my guests for this week, and yes, I have two guests this week. Doesn't happen too often, but here we are today. I do want to talk a little bit about what happened a few weeks ago on social media. So social media is a very, very weird thing. And the fact that sometimes people put things out there just to kind of get attention, you get trolls, all sorts of weird things happen at times. A few weeks ago, I had one of my guests on, and one of the preambles I talked about was something I thought was very non-controversial. I talked about the fact that when you buy a freezer or you buy a dryer, generally the hinges are on the left side, it opens from the right side, and then Best Buy will charge you like $70 to switch it. And I had a mild conspiracy theory that maybe they do market research to see which way people want it. They reverse it by design and then charge you $70 to do it. Posted to Instagram Reels, got some likes, kind of is what it is, some watches. I went to TikTok with it, and man, did that one blow up. So I got lots of views, which is probably one of my higher viewed TikToks. But more so, I got a lot of just kind of like weird hate and weird people calling me like just all sorts of random things, which, I mean, it's the internet, so you kind of expect it, but it's just very, very funny in the fact that I posted that. And somebody was like, it's very easy to do. If you could find a 12-year-old girl, she could do it for you, which obviously I had all sorts of retorts I wanted to respond with. But, being a 47-year-old grown man, I figured I'd keep them to myself and just kind of go with it for now. So social media is a weird thing. I would say, it could be negative in the fact that people, hide behind the keyboard and kind of say all sorts of nonsense. Could be a good thing, though. I mean, I've met a lot of friends via social media. I mean, Marcus, who's one of my best friends that I text with on a daily basis, he is someone I met via social media. Zach, same thing as well. In fact, my two guests that I have this week, I met via social media. They found this podcast via another podcast, reached out to me via Instagram, DM'd, and here we are today. So, I mean, social media can be both good and bad. I would say this is why, again, I have two daughters, both in high school. We waited very, very late until we actually gave them access to social media, because without the proper tools or the proper maturity or education, bad things can happen from a bullying perspective, or just kind of like it's way too easy to get yourself into trouble. And as I remind all my guests, what you put on the internet is forever. So it only takes like one stupid comment or one stupid picture or video, and it can last you for a lot longer than you want it to. So that's my 2 cents, as a parent of two kids. That's my 2 cents as a podcaster and someone who's been using digital media and social media for years. Just be careful, and let's just kind of, let's love each other, right? Let's not put out something that we don't really want to, be associated with, and don't write something on the internet that you wouldn't say to somebody in person. Reminder, as every other week, we are on Instagram at Everybody Has a Story Pod. As mentioned, I do have a TikTok for this podcast, also at Everybody Has a Story Pod. The YouTube for the show is also at Everybody Has a Story Pod. My personal Instagram is at Seltzer77 for all things Jeff Seltzer. You can check me out over at JeffSeltzer.com. I freshened it up a little bit, so it has all of the information needed for the show, the socials, as well as the email. Basically, it's probably the best first place to go to if you want information about this podcast is go to JeffSeltzer.com. Lots of cool clips, lots of cool random stuff. For business inquiries, reach out to the show via email at everybodyhasastorypod@gmail.com. And fresh off the press, recently registered and got everybodyhasastorypod.com. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to put there yet, but it exists, and I paid my $13, so I do have it for the next 2 years as of now. Reminder to everybody, we are on all podcast platforms. Weirdly, I found recently that we're on Letterboxd. Didn't realize that it was there. It was a website that I guess they just kind of syndicate and pull from other places. So that was a surprise to me when I checked it out, but it's always nice to have little surprises like that when you find your podcast in places that you didn't put it. So that's a new one. But as a reminder, we're on video at YouTube and Spotify. We are on audio on those two, as well as all other platforms that exist from a podcast perspective on the web. With that said, I did want to introduce my two guests for this week. I have Robert and Tyler. Guys, how you doing today?
What is going on?
Good, doing good.
Awesome. So, first of all, thank you for joining. And as I alluded to earlier, this is, I would say, hopefully one of the better usages of social media. And the fact that a few weeks ago, I think Robert had reached out to me via Instagram, the show's podcast, Instagram,
Yep.
after finding it through the Ray Sanchez podcast from a few weeks ago. So he found it, reached out, and was like, "Hey, what do you think? Can we podcast?" I was like, "Let's do it." So figured, why not? So I got Robert and Tyler on. Robert, do you want to go first? Give us a little background about yourself.
Well, obviously, really nothing short. Obviously, for those who know about me, I'm Robert. Obviously, Tyler, my best friend Tyler, who I've known for over almost 20 years, is below me. To be honest, there's not really much to kind of go about me. Like, I just try to bring my own quirky, authentic self when it comes to this space as well. And as Jeff alluded to, I help run our social media pages, whether it's from Twitter, and obviously YouTube and also the IG. So kind of want to share for those who are not familiar with myself or Tyler, kind of understanding who we are, what we do, and all the other fun stuff.
Nice. Well, thanks, Robert. And again, we'll get into it a little deeper in a moment, but these two guys, Robert and Tyler, do run the Sports and Wrestling Connection, which is a podcast, has YouTube videos, and all sorts of fun content beyond that. Tyler, want to see if you want to give yourself a little background, like who is Tyler?
Hi, my name is Tyler. Like Rob alluded to just now, we've been friends for over a decade now, and we started doing this podcasting thing around 2020. I started it first because you know how it was during the COVID years. People were getting bored. I got bored. So I was just scrolling through the internet, and I'm seeing, I keep seeing this app for, podcasting. So I tried out that app. It didn't work out too well because I was only getting maybe 5 listeners. So I moved over to YouTube, and it was just, smooth sailing at that point. Grew a lot. And my buddy here says, "Hey, why don't you join my channel?" I'm like, okay. Moved over. Again, smooth sailing. Got a lot of subscribers out of it, and had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, this whole thing started because I got bored, pretty much.
Nice. Well, I mean, so first of all, Tyler, Robert, thank you for sharing. Secondly, I'll say this, Tyler. Obviously, there are much worse and much more dangerous things you could do when you're bored, right? People do stupid things when they're bored. So if the worst thing that you're doing is putting out a podcast and trying to create content and trying to evolve and better yourself and share your stories, I mean, again, there were definitely worse things you could do out of boredom, right?
Right.
Awesome. So again, thank you both for joining. So once again, you guys both run the Sports and Wrestling Connection. Obviously, wrestling is part of the name, but so is sports. Are you guys into all sports? Are there specific sports you guys follow or like, or kind of like what's your circle look like?
Well, I was kind of a background to that because me and Tyler, we're a lot of diehard Philly sports fans. Well, except for hockey, but that's more like the casual side of things. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, but the sports side of things, we just mostly follow our Philly sports teams. I mean, we do cover them when we do our live play streams, but we also cover other leagues too, like other teams too. Because before this was an official rebrand. Because prior to what our YouTube channel is now, we were known as the Philly Sports Talk Podcast at the time. So, and Tyler brought it to my attention. So, hey, let's rebrand, because obviously we do both sports and wrestling, and we kind of got the name, which we should have done earlier in the early stages, but I digress. But we'll cover most of the time we'll cover other teams. It doesn't matter the fan base and whatnot. Like I said, we're very open to all fan bases, whether you're a Cowboys fan, Yankees fan, doesn't really matter. Heck, and we also do the women's sports. Obviously with the WNBA and whatnot. We're going to do more women's college basketball this year, or going into the fall, and also same with the NBA. I don't know about, like I said, hockey. That's a bit iffy. That's kind of been on the iffy side of things. But that's kind of where we're at sports wise.
Got it. And do you guys get into sports gambling at all, or fantasy sports, or is it all strictly just like the actual literal sport?
We'll do fantasy sports. Take it from me, Tyler, we are terrible at it. Well, depending on the sport, because usually I've done sports betting once, and I was irked. And I did it once because I had a good parlay going. This was about a couple years ago, so I put a $10 wager on FanDuel. So I had a 16-lane parlay. Everything hit except for one. I needed 30 points from Anthony Edwards. And when I come to find out this man had a goose egg in terms of points, I was like, I had to pray to God. I was like, why? I said, hello. And for those wondering what was the payout, over $45,000. So I got that went out the window. It's like,
Sure.
It's like, what the heck? I was like,
And that is exactly why I don't sports bet. I only do the fantasy. And me with fantasy, I average maybe 1 to 2 wins a season.
Oof.
We just have fun with
good.
Yeah, we just have a lot of fun with the fantasy side.
Yeah, we just have a lot of fun.
Nice. Are there any stories that you guys are following right now from a sports perspective, right? So obviously there's always a lot going on between like Major League Baseball All-Star Game, WNBA expansion. Like, is there something that you guys are specifically following, or is it generally across the board?
It's just generally across the board, but again, in recent memory is pretty much the WNBA expansion, because obviously they're bringing 3 new teams in the next few years. Obviously they have announced with Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia, which myself and Tyler, we've been begging for the city to finally have its own WNBA team, because let's be real, the basketball team over here absolutely stinks.
Oh,
right. I gotcha. Do you guys go to live games and such, or is it more just kind of like virtual stuff you watch at home and talk about it?
Like, I'll try when I can, because obviously in this economy it's hard to go to games. Because for me, it's hard to go to Eagles games because obviously their ticket pricing is ridiculous. For the link, but most of the time, like, I could try to catch. I mean, if I wanted to, I could catch a Flyers games for about $15-$20, depending on, well, if that's the case for that. But Phillies is not really that bad. I've been to a lot. Actually, that's combining. No, I guess I'm going to show my age a little bit here, but I'm between Veteran Stadium and Citizens Bank Park over the years. But I had some pretty good experiences. But obviously, the Eagles I've pretty much watched from the comforts of my own home. I've been to the Flyers game once. It was a different experience because obviously hockey on TV doesn't. If you go in person, it doesn't really translate of how boring it is. You watch it from your couch per se. But I've been to the Sixers twice, and that was pretty much about it.
Okay, how about you, Tyler? What's your sports experience? Do you go to live events, or do you mostly just watch at home?
I mostly watch it at home, but I've been to 3 events, or actually 4 events. I went to an Eagles preseason game way back in 2012.
Okay.
I went to a Patriots game because I moved to Rhode Island and somehow scored tickets to that. So I went to a Patriots game. I went to a Sixers game, and I went to a Phillies game. And they've expanded between maybe from like 2011 to now. So it was few and far between. Otherwise, I'm just staying at home watching it on TV.
Got it. So you guys are, let's say, atypical sports fans, because oftentimes sports fans have specific teams they follow and like they go to games, stuff like that. You guys, it seems like, just do most of your, I guess, analysts and just watching of the events from home, right? That's kind of how you guys celebrate it.
It varies, and also that not just sports too. It also comes to wrestling events too, because I've already been to. I'm going to my second event. This actually comes Saturday night, actually, with my grandfather with BCW Hot Summer Nights.
Okay.
It's pretty much a fan appreciation show at the 2300 Arena and over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. After going the first time in over a decade, because the last time I've been to any wrestling, whether it's from last time I went to a wrestling event was back with WWE back in 2015. There was the Go Home show for the Raw Go Home show for the Royal Rumble, which at the time, was pretty an experience for in its own right. I mean, yeah, we had the nosebleeds, but that was probably the best we could get in terms of the budget. But like after a decade plus, I kind of got bored. But it kind of and seeing how everything has gone up and stuff like that, it kind of made me bummed out as a wrestling fan because it's like I said, I don't want to try to spend too much on wrestling tickets. But ever since I heard about this indie promotion called Battleground Championship Wrestling through Facebook and social media. It kind of got me thinking, saying, let's just check this out and look at the prices. I mean, I paid like a little over $15 for general admission. Was probably the best experience I've had in over 10 plus years. And now this time actually having ringside tickets, it's going to be more of an experience having someone with me because, well, I'm a bit of an anxious being at times.
Nice. Very cool. How about you, Tyler?
Boy, let me tell you.
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh, I have a whole story with this.
Go for it.
For wrestling, I almost went to an event. It was when AEW was still kind of big at that point. WWE was still kind of floundering, and this was around the beginning of COVID. My aunt had scored me tickets to an AEW show the week of my birthday on April 20th
Nice.
of 2020. March, COVID hits. Lockdown happens. It lasts for the entire year.
Right.
By the time the Philly show, happened, I had already moved.
Gotcha.
I was like, and ever since that happened, like, I'm like, God, the wrestling gods hate me, because everything good that's good happening in wrestling is happening in Philly, and I'm not there, or Jersey, and I'm not there. The wrestling gods hate me. So it was just like, it was just bad luck on my part. So I almost went to my first wrestling event, but it never happened.
So again, this is kind of an anomaly in the fact that you guys follow wrestling, have wrestling parties, but Tyler, you've actually never been to a wrestling show before, which is, I mean, it's an interesting perspective. I mean, it's not right or wrong. It's just different.
Yeah.
That you've just never experienced it live, but you do enjoy it for the most part on TV. Is that right?
I do, for the most part, enjoy it on TV. Yes.
Nice. Are there specific companies or specific wrestlers that you enjoy, or just kind of like just watch it all?
I'm a full-fledged wrestling fan. I watch it all.
Nice. Good deal. So again, it sounds like you're both sports fans. You're both wrestling fans. You both kind of watch from afar, but have gone a little bit in person. And then one day, Tyler, you had said, like, you just kind of woke up and said, hey, I want to put out content about this, or I want to podcast about it, or put out videos, or kind of like, how did that happen? And kind of like, how did you start your connection with your listeners or watchers or viewers to kind of like share your feelings about that?
It was pretty much how you described it. Like, I woke up one day after seeing all like these like ads for like the Anchor app or YouTube, like all these content creators on YouTube. I'm like, maybe I could do that,
Right.
And I just woke up thinking that, and I started doing a podcast with another buddy of mine. It was a football podcast. It was called the Timeout Podcast, and it didn't work out too well, so that got scrapped. But I started the wrestling podcast, and shout out my mom for this. She goes, "Why don't you start a wrestling podcast?" So I was like, good idea. So I started a wrestling podcast.
Nice.
And that, did fairly well, but it wasn't doing as well on Anchor. So my buddy told me, hey, why don't you go to YouTube with me? And I go, okay. We moved to YouTube. We started a separate channel. We only capped out at maybe like 40 subscribers on YouTube.
Okay.
So my buddy goes, why don't you go to my channel? Move it to my channel. And I go,
Right.
okay. Moved it to the Sports Wrestling Connection channel, which was called the Philly Sports Talk Podcast at that time. And it's just been, on an upwards trajectory ever since.
Got it. Nice. Sounds like an exciting and interesting journey to get there.
Interesting,
Yeah.
I would say, is it's one of the words, but I would say it was a bit of a rocky start because like Tyler's one, and credit to him who kind of got me into the how to do it. But in terms of the YouTube game, I had like multiple multiple people had to teach me how how to make thumbnails, like how to do this, how to do that. The simple things. Because at the time, I never really thought YouTube would really take off as it did, because I had my self-doubts. And I will say, if you guys looked at the older videos, prepare to cringe, because, oh my God, because you could tell the way, how I looked, how I spoke, and obviously the production wasn't really that great. you know, it's like, and it kind of got me thinking, say, okay, figure out how to improve the thumbnail designs, kind of more be eye popping. And actually, recently, got a green screen going on, kind of, and have better production quality. But since then, like, it's been fun. Obviously, yeah, we're monetized one up, but we don't even see a dime of that because that's going to charity of our choices, depending on the month.
Nice. Yeah. That's fun.
And,
so, go, Tyler. Sorry.
Yeah, like necessarily the views aren't there yet. Like we're only like getting maybe like 200 to 300 views, like a stream. But we don't care about that right now. We're just caring about having fun with this and seeing what we can do from there. Because we know one day we're gonna blow up, with a stream or a video, and because it happens to everybody. One day you're gonna skyrocket, and
sure,
for me, what I really struggled with early on was how to speak.
Okay.
How to enunciate and like knowing what topics that I was going to talk about. Because of course we were a wrestling news source at that point. Like we took wrestling news from different sites that we thought would be intriguing for a video for the podcast. And I would often like blank. And then I was told by numerous people, write stuff down.
Absolutely.
Stuff down.
Yep.
So I started writing stuff down, and I started remembering stuff, and I started enunciating better and getting better with speaking. And, it really worked out in my favor and my buddy's favor. And after that, rocket ship.
Nice. Very cool. I mean, it's important to obviously find a method, see what works for you. Like my memory's shot. So for me, I take notes. I generally have pages and pages of notes going into these conversations. Definitely helps, references, stuff like that. So good that you have that. Robert, you had mentioned that the money that you do earn from the podcast and the YouTube goes to charity. So if you don't mind me asking, what do you guys do for a living? So obviously you have to support, your habits, do all sorts of things, whatever. Okay. Without getting too detailed, or share as much as you want to, but like, what do you guys do to, on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I mean, with this being a hobby, I do work a full-time job working in the nursing home because I floor say pretty much. I do like janitor work and whatnot, trash, linen, sweep the floors, mop them, occasionally that stuff like that, cleaning buttons. But, I've been there for over almost 2 years come December. And it's not great, but I mean, I'm just getting through it in like 5 days a week, enjoy my Sundays and Mondays off. I mean, I love the people that I work with. I mean, but yeah, I mean, it's something to get me by.
And for me, I have a disability called spina bifida, so it really hinders me from working. Okay. So I don't work. This is a hobby for me, so I'm not looking at this as a job.
Sure.
But I don't work because of this disability that I have, and having a lot of medical issues and stuff like that. I recently had to go to the hospital, get a whopping 4 surgeries to extract a bladder stone from me. So that was a fun little thing. But with that, like with the hospital visits and everything like that, I can't work.
Got it.
Like at all. So I don't have a job. I do get I don't have money in my pocket. So it's like, yeah, I don't have a job. But like the money that the money that we do see from YouTube, that goes right to charity. So I don't care about the money side of things. Because stuff like that. But yeah, I don't work. So
got it. And Tyler, pardon my ignorance. Is that something that you were born with? Is that something genetic? Like what is that, if you don't mind me asking?
That is not ignorant at all. That was a perfectly valid question to ask. I was born with this. It's a lifelong birth defect that I've had. It's never going to go away, obviously. So, yeah, it's a birth defect that I had.
Gotcha. And I assume you've just found ways in life to kind of like work around it or make the most of it and just kind of like get things done that you want to.
Definitely, yeah.
Pushing as hard as you can, which is great that you can do as much as you do with that. So,
I mean, that is true. I mean, for the longest time I've known him, like he has done a lot. I mean, heck, take it from me for someone who has always had a learning disability. And yeah, I mean, look, I don't know, I'm trying to say this without being. Let's just say, like, I operate on a different level than Tyler, but at the same time, like, I definitely can. I try to help out Tyler as much as I can. Yeah, I mean, Tyler's about 6 hours away from me, but I mean, prior to that, I mean, he was kind of my get out of school free card. But ever since he moved to Triton, I still was kind of irked. But that's
I got a story for that too.
Go for it.
For that too. So he always calls me his get out of school free card, get out of jail free card, as he says, because he would always wheel me out to the bus 5 minutes before school ends. And this was the year I found out that I was moving to a different town. This was I moved to a different state now, but I moved to a different town back then. This man goes, I hate you. Like, he was so betrayed. Because I was moving away, because I was his get out of jail free card. It was so hilarious.
Wow.
But like, and the thing is too, if you kind of got to know me and Tyler on a different level, there's nothing in this world I couldn't do without Tyler.
Yeah.
And Tyler's the same way. And at the same time, we have a very dark, twisted sense of humor, because
Sure.
if you guys actually have heard how we act and, just kind of bust each other's chops, it's, let's say it's not on the PG level. Let's just put it that way.
That's fair.
The jokes that he calls me and the jokes that I call him are not PG in the slightest.
But people tend to love it. Like, if people, it kind of gets like, because, and that's the thing too, and that's kind of me and Tyler at times, not say preach, but we kind of if anybody that's having coming to the YouTube game, try to give as much advice as possible to try to be yourselves, like, be real, try not to hide behind a facade.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, because me and Tyler, we're being as real as it gets.
Okay.
We don't want to try to push to the point where it's like, oh crap, like, it's not like, and like you said too, it's going to get out there. It's like, it's going to really ruin our image. So we're trying to, but it's been fun. He'll be what, 5 or is it 4 years now at this point? I can't remember.
2020, I started the podcasting, but on YouTube, it was like,
oh wait, it was 2021. I'm sorry.
It was like late 2021 when we went to YouTube.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it'll be 5 years next year for us. Come January.
So getting back to obviously your lifelong friendship here. So Robert lives in Jersey, Tyler up in New England. Do you guys see each other in person much or at all, or is it more of like a pen pal situation via the recording all the time?
The majority of it is through the recordings.
Yep.
Sometimes it's through FaceTime,
Sure.
through chatting and stuff like that. So we do often talk to each other off stream. But I do visit down there on occasion. Like, there was one time, I went down there during, baseball season, and I told Rob, hey, the game's on, let's come on over and watch with me. And he comes over with a pack of beer, and we just sat and watched the game and drank.
Oh,
drank, and also had time screaming at the TV, because that's and that's another thing. And that would be the first time I almost walked us over. And that's another story for where this is before he moved, and this is before my high school 5-year reunion. So as Tyler, I don't remember what we were texting at the time, but told me, said, I'm moving, because I told him, because at the time we had our like a rough edition of what our merch would look like. It's the Philly Sports Talk Podcast. Had someone else make it for us.
Sure.
Because at the time, nobody's told us about about Spreadshirt or Fourth Wall or wherever those sites are at,
right.
And which we do have our own merch on Spreadshirt. So guys want to check it out. I don't know if we have a sale going on, but definitely would recommend it. So at the time, I had someone make him like a medium hoodie, or is it a small hoodie? Either way,
it was a hoodie.
It was a medium.
Yeah. So it was a hot summer day. I had to walk my rear end. I walked my rear end, cross 130 to get to this man's house, and the blistering. And Tyler, he gonna say, "Are you nuts?" I was like, "Yeah."
And the reason why I asked that was because he comes into my house dripping with sweat. His whole he had like a sweat neckline coming from the top of the shirt to the bottom. So I'm like, "Are you nuts?" He was like, No, because I'm like, dude, you're sweating a lot. Like, do you have was it hot in your car or something? Because I thought the dude drive.
Right.
He drove where he was, in like his in one of his family members' car. He goes, no, I walked. I go from. I go. You literally walk from your house to Belmore. I'm like, what did you do? Walk. I'm like. And I'm like, what did you do? Walk 130? He goes, yep. I go, are you nuts?
Yeah.
Oh man. So I'll say this. I mean, obviously coming into this podcast, Robert reached out to me and was talking about how, you guys, do sports and wrestling podcasts. And so in going in, I had kind of one mindset, but in honesty, this just sounds like a lifelong, like great, like friendship story that I just love to hear about. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that, you guys have been, lifelong friends since you're a bunch younger. The fact that you guys, record and such, and so you can still bond over that. The fact that you guys still visit each other, even though you live states apart. And it's funny too, because a quote that I read or found a few weeks ago that I mentioned to my buddies Marcus and Daniel, who I pod with a lot, and I think this is completely just like spot on, is that it's obviously a meme, but I think it's pretty funny. That podcasts were invented for an excuse for straight dudes to go on a date together. Like legitimately, it's a way to kind of say like, hey, we're cool. Let's just hang out. This is fine. We'll record, talk about it. Like obviously it's all good, but it's just funny because it's like an easy way to kind of like make a connection and have like a standing date of sorts, and it's totally normal,
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, it's like when our wrestling watch parties, it's just an excuse for buddies to just hang out with each other.
Yeah.
yeah, like, and that's the thing too. It's like, yeah, I mean, we do have the wrestling podcast. Well, we haven't really done a sports podcast in a very long, in a hot minute, because sometimes and what also helps is too, which I've seen other people do this, put out a stream, put out a stream center, because we hardly ever do videos, because it usually, a lot of people, seems like they love to see us stream more than we put out videos.
Yeah.
As what we do. And and at times I do clip, and we have some people clip some questionable moments, because we want to make complete fun of ourselves, because that's how me and Tyler are.
Yeah.
It's been, like I said, it's been nothing but a brotherhood with Tyler for the last almost pretty much 15 years come September. It's something that's never I would have thought possible, and Tyler probably the same thing. Because it's like, we really never thought about, let's do YouTube and whatnot, because, that's pretty much what, most people's aspiring to do.
Sure.
It's like, because, at the time, YouTube was just kind of a big thing, people want to hop on the gravy train. Me and Tyler, on the other hand, not so much, because we, it never really appealed to us. But now I've seen how the work we put in, stuff like that, it has obviously paid off in the long run. Hopefully we'll, because me and Tyler are going to try to do this until we get older, get blue in the face, until we finally pretty much call it. So we still got a lot of time left on our hands.
Awesome. No, again, I think it's a great story. I really appreciate you guys sharing, and it's really just it's nice to meet you both, because again, without social media, as mentioned earlier, this is a situation where you wouldn't reach out to me, I wouldn't know you guys. So it's always fun to meet new people. And also this is called Everybody's a Story with Jeff Seltzer. So hearing your story and hearing how you guys, again, 15 years, again, I'm 47 years old. I don't have a lot of friends that I've known for 15 years or more. Like, friends are far and few between. So the fact that you guys have stuck together through travel, through everything, and now you're, have a hobby and you're working together of sorts, I think is fantastic.
Yeah, and Tyler can attest to this too. It wasn't easy between the two of us when we first met. And we did have like a separate show called The Real Talk, kind of getting, sharing our own story, but kind of like like rehash of everything. It all started was like seventh grade lunch is where it all began.
Yeah, but now I had just moved to New Jersey from the South. I lived in South Carolina at the time, and I moved to Jersey.
Which is a big cultural change, right? I mean, living in the South, especially as a kid, versus Jersey, culturally it's different.
Oh, yeah.
Put it this way, but for me though, it wasn't really like a culture shock.
Okay.
Because it was easily adaptable to move there, because I was from Jersey before. I lived in Jersey before, so I was like, it wasn't really a culture shock for me moving from the South to New Jersey. Yeah, it was a different culture. Yeah, people's values and their morals were a lot different and things like that from people in the South, which, I get that. But So I had moved, but I had moved from there to New Jersey around 7th grade. And I had no friends, I mean, I had friends down south, but I didn't have any friends at this new school. So I just was struggling to find my way around and things like that. Typical new kid stuff. And I'm in lunch, or I'm going to lunch, and I'm about to go past this dude. I'm wheeling past him, and he goes, "Yo, yo." I look over. I'm like, who? And I see him flagging me over. I'm like, yeah. He goes, "You want to sit with me?" I'm like, "Sure." And then 15 years later, here we are.
That's so
Yeah,
sweet. That's a great origin story.
It really is, and it's the same way with me because before I used to live up here for about a year,
Okay.
moved down into because I lived out in Aiken County, and I will tell you from my personal experience being down there, like everything was kind of backwards. Basically, like healthcare wasn't that the healthcare practices down there were not that great. Education was completely garbage. And not. I don't want to say that's a bad thing. Well, I mean, it is a terrible thing because, like I said, and like I mentioned before, I have a learning disability. I'm a person that has high functioning autism. Now, autism, and this is really just really irked me in modern society. Us autistic people always have a negative stigma because, we just have like a really bad stigma around the autism spectrum disorder.
Sure.
Which a lot because now. If anybody that's in school, I'm going to really put this out there. If anybody that listens, please, I urge you to take a psychology course, learn about the autism spectrum disorder, or people who have gone through a lot of stuff. Because take it from me, Tyler, we do have at times to we do advocate for a lot of mental health and stuff like that. We do like a lot of charity streams that are off time. But at the time, like Tyler said, at the time, it's kind of how I felt when I came up here, or coming back up here for more than I usually know, because it wasn't easy for me because and my mom can tell you this too. Like she's done a lot, and I love her to death and because a lot of times when someone has like of what I had to go through, we'll put like in a vocational school and stuff like that, kind of being the special needs school, for lack of a better term, but. Know my mom and the faith she had in me to go through public schooling, it really well paid off.
Right.
And like 7th grade, and at the time, this is when the junior high was still a thing with Gloucester High. This is where me and Tyler first met. It just all happened in a random, 7th grade lunch. Not too much because I barely had and Jeff, I'm like you, I had no friends because I had a hard time making friends. First meeting Tyler, I kind of thought to myself, maybe I could be this guy's friend for a while. And, we kind of got to know each other, what we like, dislikes, our differences. And since then, we've been friends. It'll be 15 years come September. And yeah, I mean, I do bust the chops here and there because, that's how because he and I, because how, I mean, if you want to describe me and Tyler's friendship, it's like we're like brothers.
Yeah.
From a sibling perspective, that's how me and Tyler operate.
Nice. Yeah. Again, I think it's fantastic that 15 years later, you can look back at the lunchroom back in 7th grade when Tyler first moved up, and I mean, Robert going out of his way to say, "Hey, come join me for lunch," and here you are, all these years later, you're friends.
I mean, there were times where I almost laughed at him because for him, all this tripping over stuff because knowing me, because that's another thing, and that's another thing too. Like, and all of the other jokes, like anytime, because I remember this dude, I think was a trip in the hallway. I tried my best not.
Here's how it happened.
Okay.
All right. So this was after lunch. I'm deciding I'm not going to use my wheelchair this day. I have crutches. I had just gotten new crutches. So let me bust those bad boys out and try to test drive them.
Sure.
So we get to the hallway where the nurse's office is. I can see my buddy already laughing at me right now. But so the one crutch, there's a slippery spot on the floor. I don't know what happened there. There's a slippery spot. The right crutch goes whoop. I go flying. I hit the ground, And my knee is hurting. And this dude is doing exactly what he's doing right now. He just starts busting out laughing
And look,
at me.
and that's the thing. I didn't mean it to laugh like a complete jerky, because how I was, and this is the thing, because this is how me and Tyler were raised. It's like, usually if you fall, we laugh at you, and then we ask if you're okay later, because that's just.
That's literally how it was. I fell. He literally laughs like a hyena, and then he asked me if I was okay.
Now there were times there were times, and another thing I don't think Tyler has touched upon this, for those who don't know, he also has hydrocephalus, and Tyler and a lot of people don't realize it's pretty much water in the brain. Is it water in the brain? I think it is.
It's water in the brain, and what they do to combat it, because they used to not be able to, and a lot of kids, were dying from it. What they do is they put a tube in your brain, and it goes right down to your stomach, and it basically drains the water from your brain.
And there was a few times where he almost tripped and actually thought he was going to hit his head, because there were times, and Tyler can attest to too, like there were times like if he fell and because and this is one thing too, like it does sometimes concern me anytime when he falls. Yeah, is it funny? Yes, but it's only because he's not going head first, and that worries me, because
what I do is when I fall down, I try to fall forward. I don't try to fall back, because that's where mainly the majority of the tube is in the back of my head. So I try to fall forward, and when I fall forward, Rob knows I'm okay, and he just laughs. But at
times I'm still concerned.
He's still kind of concerned, but if he knows I'm okay, then he'll just keep on laughing and be done with it, and then ask if I'm okay later.
And and here's another story that just popped in my head. So one winter, this was a few years later, about a couple years later, or I talked about it too. Where one winter, everything, because obviously there's a lot of black ice, especially for those living on the Northeast, because Jeff, you kind of understand, how bad sometimes the winters are here.
Oh yeah.
So one winter, my mom asked me to go start the car, warm it up a little bit, as most people do in the wintertime. At the time, I didn't see no black ice on my steps. So the third step down, I slipped, went lower back first, got the wind knocked down me. He's like I could not move for about 15, 20 minutes. And I was panicking because I have very bad anxiety. But, after I got all the energy back, I was like, man, never doing that again. So warmed the car. Then, again, didn't see another patch of ice, slipped. Lucky I had my backpack on to protect the back of my head so I didn't get a concussion.
Sure.
And then when I told Tyra, when I told the story, this dude decides to laugh at me. It's like, well, I guess that's karma for laughing at him. So, I mean,
I think this happened like a week after I fell in the hole.
Life is full of receipts, isn't it? It's how it works.
Pretty much. It pretty much is a running joke.
I looked at him, I laughed, and I go, karma, ain't
it? Yes, I should have
gotcha. That. Well, Robert, Tyler, thank you both for sharing your stories. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I think this is a nice feel-good story about the fact that you guys have connected and stayed together. Is there anything that you want to plug before we call it a day?
Well, if anybody who wants to check us out on the YouTube page, obviously it's a sports and wrestling connection. It's N with apostrophe, not the word. I mean, if it does come up with the word and, it's still kind of the same thing. You'll definitely will see, will notice us with a line with the football, and obviously with our channel name that's inside the logo, so you kind of actually could see that. But for those who kind of want to follow me on other social media, like YouTube, not YouTube. Hold up, I'm having a brain fart at the moment. But yeah, Twitter wise, I'm also there too at Sports Wrestle YT, because the S and the W are capitalized, same with the YT. TikTok, it's at Sports Wrestling 97. I'll definitely will post, a lot of stuff, a lot of sports stuff and wrestling stuff. Most of the time, help kind of grow the brand there. And also the same with the Instagram page. That would be as Sports Wrestle YT, because everything is, because the Instagram handle is all lowercase, so that's kind of where you can find me for the most part on social media.
Cool. And Tyler, looks like your Twitter is it's real to me on YT, correct?
Yeah, that's where I usually promote my stuff, or I tweet random stuff because I may have some friendships there too. So you might see me post some random stuff at times if I'm at podcasting or anything, but it usually pertains to wrestling. Um, I rarely promote there. I'm more so promote on my TikTok, which is my personal. Um, I'll have to open that up because I don't know why I don't remember my own TikTok on the top of my head. But hold on. It, Jeez, why is it so laggy?
Like that's at T Money Coleman.
It's at Team Money Coleman. So
Very good.
yeah, it was so laggy. I was trying to open it up so I could read the handle, but it was laggy. But it's at Team Money Coleman. I usually promote there, and sometimes get goofy with it and post random stuff too,
Got
because
it.
it is also my personal. But you guys can follow me there for promotions of the podcast or the watch-alongs because I do promote there. So
Got it. Cool. Well, thank you guys for joining. Once again, I'll remind all of our listeners that we are on Instagram at Everybody Has a Story Pod. TikTok is also at Everybody Has a Story Pod. My personal Instagram is at Seltzer77 for all things Jeff Seltzer. You can always check me out over at jeffseltzer.com. For all business inquiries, you can email me directly at everybodyhasastorypod@gmail.com. We're on all podcast platforms, YouTube and Spotify. We're video, audio, everywhere else. Reminder that we do now have everybodyhasastorypod.com. Still not sure what I'm going to put up there, but by the time this lands, maybe there'll be something up there. Lastly, as a reminder, we do have some podcast t-shirts, $20. They can say guest if you're a guest. Otherwise, just straight up a podcast t-shirt, logo on the front, logo in the back. Name of the podcast on the back, $20. Shoot me a DM on Instagram or email me, and we'll take care of it. With that said, Robert, Tyler, thank you so much for joining, and
Absolutely.
I will talk to everybody very soon. Take care, everybody.
You too.
you too.
Everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer. Everybody has a story with Jeff Seltzer.